Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to another live map making session on a Thursday evening. Glad I'm seeing quite a few people around in the chat already. Sue is busy welcoming them and people talking. Nice to see. You might hear the bells going on outside. So windows open again. It's pretty warm here. Actually pretty hot and not the most pleasant of weather at the moment. But it's just started to rain a little bit and that should cool things down a little, hopefully. Sound is good. Thank you, Sue. That's good to hear. And tonight I want to take a look at an old annual style, another one of the classic ones by Per Lindström, our Swedish contributor. And as been mentioned in the chat already, it's quite reminiscent of the Indiana Jones movie, specifically the travel scenes between the travel interstitials between the scenes in the movie. That's what it's aimed at, mostly for games set in that classic pulp action time. And as you can see here, they can often be used with real-world maps, like here of Ethiopia and Africa, and mapping real-world travel itineraries or places. I've actually used the style to show some of my journeys in Australia and New Zealand and incorporated my own photos into that. And that gave me an idea for today. Specifically, I want to show you the style itself is very simple to use. It's just basically, if you've got the outline, add rivers and perhaps a few terrain areas and then the highlights of the journey and dots in between, and you're good to go. But we might want to do a little bit more with that on different maps and mix up some mapping styles. And I want to show you how to use other symbols in this style, in this travel highlight version, and create my own symbols from other symbols for this style. Alright, so let's see what we can do here. So let's start off by just starting a little map in this style, and so if I can find my mouse, here we are. I even have a highlight on it, so I should be able to find it. Click new map. I don't save my current map here, and the map type is an overland maps type. And then click next, and then I've got the annual modern journey style here, both in the Imperial and the metric version. I'm going to go with the metric version here today. So I'm going to click next, and then I'm going to set a fairly small map, and I'll make it even smaller because I want to fill it up fairly quickly with stuff. So it's always nice to have a symbol scale that is a bit larger than the usual stuff. So I'm just going to click finish. My mouse is acting up a bit, not always registering the clicks. I think I might need to get a new one, not too soon, not too far in the future. Alright, so let's click videos and save it in our working folder here for today. Let's call it my journey. And here's my blank map for the style. See, it does load the symbols for the style, and it is pretty much geared a little bit to adventure stories and also horror stories like Call of Cthulhu. See, there's some horror stuff and tentacles that you can place on the map, but also structures, symbol. Oh, they didn't quite load the style correctly, it seems. Okay, that's a bit odd. Okay, there's something. So let's have a quick. Oh no, actually, I'm not gonna look into fixing this here. Instead, I'm just gonna load up the master filter setting. Yeah, CA84 is... Now I'm not gonna double check here. Let's just quickly load up my previous map. That will allow me to see which... Oh, actually I can see it here. The number of the annual is issue 93. And so it's loaded the wrong master filter setting here. That's 84. And we should load CA93. And if we load that, then we do load up the correct symbol catalog here. Right. And see, while it is geared to adventure and horror stories, it is also aimed at a fairly modern setting. You see skyscraper city here, and village and town also do look fairly modern. And I do want to see whether I can incorporate this more into the Mike Schley Overland style, more into the fantasy setting, and create symbols from the Mike Schley style that does let us allow us to get more variety in the symbols, because we've got so many Mike Schley symbols. And place it on the map. Sorry, got a bit distracted by a comment here. Andrew suggests that Profantasy should come down to one of the cons down in Australia. I do fear this is a bit too far away for us to normally do. We don't have any stuff down under in Australia and New Zealand, and it's not going to be in our financial means to send someone down there. We're already taking people to Gen Con in the US each year, and that's about what we can do. We're just a small company, not with a big travel portfolio. So, but perhaps sometime I'll be down there again. I hope so, and then we'll see what we can do. All right, so I do want to draw something with the Mike Schley Overland style. But first, let's give this a bit of context and a little bit of land area that we can actually fill out. So let's have a look here. Sorry. There's the cat here. And all right, so let's draw our coastline here. Let's give this a little bit of a bay and nothing too fancy, just a bit of an outline here. Here we go. There's our land, a couple islands perhaps. So we're creating a fantasy setting here, not a real world coastline or anything. That's no reason to make it look bad though. So we should create something fairly realistic looking. Turn on the sheet effects, and here we've got a nice bay with some islands on the coast. And I've got another question concerning conventions, whether will be at Spiel Essen. No, we'll not have a booth at Spiel Essen. We haven't done that for a few years because the role-playing section of Spiel is not that large anymore. It's been become smaller, and it's not that worthwhile for us to go there anymore. I do tend to visit a day or two each year, so if you're at Spiel and want to meet up, do post something in the community forum on the Facebook group, and I'd be happy to meet up with a few campaign cartographer users for coffee or something at Spiel in Essen. But I'm not quite sure yet when I will be at Essen. It tends to be the Friday or the Sunday, but I can't say for sure yet. All right, so I've got the islands down, and I do want to add a bit of a river. Let's do a wide river here. And I'm seeing that we do have that old style river here with the where it's kind of difficult to connect the river mouth to the sea, and since then we've quite often used the color key effect for rivers, and I'm quickly create a drawing tool for that and set up the sheet effect. Good opportunity to show that because that allows us to have a better transition between the river mouth and the sea. So let's erase this. It's gonna go in, click advanced on the drawing tools, click in new, river white, and let's call it cutout. That's the shortcut I usually use for these kind of tools. What we need to do there, we just basically just need to change the properties into a solid fill and the color key color that we'll use, and that's usually color 6. So we're just going to use this setting here, and then I can just start out drawing outside here, outside the coastline, draw my river. You say it looks wrong. Now I've just got a magenta river here, but we just need to add the color key effect on the land sheet. Here we go. And what I forgot, we need to move the river, move the sheet to the land sheet. So it does create the sheet effect there. There we go. No, that's not quite what's happened here correctly. I think... No. Okay, this seems to be correct. What have I done wrong here? Land. The color key effect should be at the top of the list, otherwise the glows will interfere with that. So that's what I've been doing wrong. Here we go, and there we are, and that's what I was looking for. And see, now the river shape is neatly cut into the land polygon and looks just nice. So I'm going to go into the tools again, and on the properties, change this to land. And then I'm also going to do the same with the default river, new, default, cut out, go to properties, sheet land, color 6, and fill style solid. And now I can just connect these rivers here. Draw my second smaller one to here, and again the intersection of the two rivers is perfect, and the sheet effects gets neatly applied to the cutout of the river. Alright, so here's my general layout of the map, and now what do we have in the way of symbols? We don't have much in the way of mountains or anything. We have some vegetation symbols. We have the transportation symbols that showcase in the original style which type of vehicle is used on the leg of a journey between two places. And we've got the structures and the other with the just outline and the dots that the style uses to show the journey steps. But I do want to do something. I want to use more symbols. I want to use different symbols. So I'm gonna go for the Mike Schley style and have a look how these look with the style first thing. So I'm gonna go into, click here and choose the Mike Schley overland style. It doesn't have any other. Should actually be the MS filter here. And there's our symbols for the Mike Schley overland style, and let's have a look at the mountains first. Where are our mountains? There are our mountains. Here we are. And now we can just, let's grab some small mountains here. Snow-capped is fine. And I think for my map here, the style is that the symbols are a bit too small. I want something a bit larger. So about this size, if I right click, it shows me what I've got here. So 1.6. So perhaps we're good with a 1.5 style symbol scale. And for that, I'm just going to go on the drawing tool properties, drawing properties, and set my scale to 1.5, the default scale. Then I can go in here and click normal, and there's my mountains. But as you can see, the coloring is really not matching the parchment background very well. That's not something that works well together. The heavy outlines, the black outlines are quite okay, but the coloring is not matching the rest of the map very well. So what we can do about that, we always have the sheet effects that can affect our coloring. And so let's have a look what we can do there. So the only thing that we're going to change is something about the symbols, and something I wanted to show you. It's a bit of a technical thing, but let's have a quick look first into our sheets. So first off, let's see what sheet these symbols are on, quite conveniently on symbols. So I'm going to go into the symbol sheets and add a sheet effect. And here I'm going to go for the RGB matrix process. It looks complicated, looks daunting, and I'd be hard pressed to explain everything to you, but we do have some handy predefined settings like the sepia tone. And I can add this here and nothing happens. The problem is that the symbols work in a little bit different way in Campaign Cartographer by default, and not all sheet effects work with them. This is because of the transparencies in the symbols. They do not work with all the sheet effect settings, and basically symbols are drawn once again at the end of the rendering process. After all the sheet effects have been applied, Campaign Cartographer draws the symbols again. And that means effects like that affect the symbols themselves, like an RGB matrix effect, so a coloring change or other things like that will get ignored because the normal symbols are just drawn over those changes again. But we can turn off this setting and let symbols behave like others. That might in some maps interfere with other sheet effects, but it should be fine here. And now I do need to find my the command again. I wanted to, there it is. I've noted it down because it's something that's not something I use very often, and it's a bit of a complicated one because it's not linked in the menus or anything. And the command is delay draw sim, and then set it to 1 or 0 to turn it off or on. And I wanted also something I could show you how to do a shortcut for that is a bit more convenient. Okay. So, and I'm gonna turn this setting off, and there we go. And you can see immediately that the sheet effect is applied. And you can also already see the effect that it has, the transparency here of the symbols, the partial transparency of the mountain symbols here does not work as normal anymore. It gets fully transparent here. And I'm actually fine with that. And the style looks okay. And so we can leave that as is, but that's not something you normally want in the map. So it's specific on this type of the map we're doing here at the moment. So, and still you might play around with the sheet effect a little more, and for that I would need to if I could remember properly, let's have a quick look how this looks if I add a little bit to the effects, whether that makes it darker or lighter. Yeah, it makes it lighter. So let's have a look whether we can make it a little bit darker. Yeah, so. And that does look quite okay from what I can see here. And yeah, we've got a mention from Sue here, or a comment from Sue actually. And yes, the delayed draw symbol setting is something that is not persistent from from between sessions of Campaign Cartographer. So you'd have to apply the effect again if you close it and open it again. Good thing to mention. And I'm gonna save this setting here. So just the color matrix effect, and we call dark, let's call it darker sepia. There we go. This is actually now saved in my working folder here. I should probably save it in the Campaign Cartographer folder if I wanted to access it again, but that's fine for now. I leave it here because I'm not going to use it anytime soon. So let's a quick look and see there the sepia effect is quite a bit darker and matches my general style much better. So I quite like this. And before I go on, I should probably show you how to make a little bit of a better. For example, if I wanted to turn this setting off every time I load the map, I could go into the drawing properties, go into map nodes, and there we've got a map on open macro. And that means that is a macro that gets executed every time the map opens. If I edit that, see, there's the wrong catalog setting that gets loaded that I noticed. So there should be 93 in here, not 84. It does load the correct symbol catalog. And we can add now at the end, delay draw sim 0. And that way, every time the map gets loaded, it will turn the delayed symbol drawing off. Okay, there we go. And then we can add a few more mountains on this side here. Oops, a little bit of a one more prominent one, and then just some hills. And if you refresh, you'll see that the sheet effect, the sepia tone, gets applied to those symbols just as well. So far so good. And now we could go into structures here. Oh, I am in the wrong setting here. Let's load. Let's have a quick look and actually load the correct master filter setting. There should be one CA93. There we go. But it's a fairly old style and doesn't have the Mike Schley style listed. So another thing I can show you here, I can how to switch, change these filters. If I just want to switch between the default filter of the map and CC3 Mike Schley, I can create my new master filter. Say I just want to use two filters. One should be the one of the annual, CA93, and the other one is the Mike Schley master filter. I know that off the top of my head, that's C3 Mike Schley MS. So, but if you need to find that out, you can always start a map in that style and check the master filter used in there. Now I'm going to save it, and I'm going to CA93A. Okay, and then go into the drawing properties, map nodes, open macro, and change this to CA93A. So we'll duly load this master filter every time we start the map. Okay, Sue has complicated questions here. How would the sheet effect affect varicolor symbols? Good question. We can just try that out. Let's pick a bright color, place a varicolor mountain, and do a refresh, and you wouldn't see any difference because well, not much of a difference because the sheet effect gets applied to the other color and it equalizes all that. So no big sense in using varicolor symbols in this kind of style. No need to be sorry, so always good if I can show you off stuff like that. All right, so I've got the, so let's switch between the catalogs here. See, the thing is we don't have any mountain symbols in that other one. So, but we should see that with structures, so we can switch between the Mike Schley structures and the Modern Journey structures just by clicking the symbol toggle button now because we've changed the master filter. So, and say I place a symbol here, a town. All good, nice and good, but okay, I can always see that we do get a little bit of things turned off from the transparencies because or delayed symbol drawing is turned off, but that's fine, still looking good, especially for the style. It doesn't need quite as much detail. But what's missing is this iconic style of the other one with the circle around, basically the pull out of a little scene, how's that, and so we can't, we don't have that here. So how we deal with that? If I do want a symbol like this, but just with the Mike Schley style, what I get is I do have the circles for this. I think it's also in structures directly. Okay. Sure, some things happened here. Oh no, there we are. All good. Erase this. What I'm doing here, I want to erase this symbol and I want to find the empty circle. There we are. Let's scale that to a size I want in my map here, because the scales are very different between the map styles. This will not be default scale, so we've got a 0.35. So how do we do that to match this to the Mike Schley symbols? We could just always rescale the symbol when we place it, but what we could also do is go into here and scale the blank symbols in the internally in the map. So this will not change the symbol in the original catalog, but in the reference to it in this new map, which will be handy. So I'm just gonna do a scale and change it by 3.35. And if I now go in here and set to normal, no, still, yeah, well, because our default scale is 1.5, so it's still, I still need to make it a little bit smaller. So let's scale this by 0.667, 2/3. Set it normal again, and this is about the size I want. That looks fine. So I can place the circle around this, but the thing is, obviously I don't have the edge outside cut off. I do have the symbol extending beyond that. And if I can pick a larger symbol here, go into the, pick a bigger one, let's like the castle or the keep. Castle is pretty big, I think. Say I wanted to do to pick out version of the symbol here. And I'm going to grab this here. So I just wanted this piece here. I do have the symbol sticking out of beyond my circle inconveniently, so that's not what I want. So what do we do with this? Well, we do have a few options. We could go outside, do a bitmap editing and cut these symbols or other symbols we want to add into circles and then scale them correctly so they match into the outlines of the circles. Possible, and probably in the long run if you wanted to reuse the symbol the best way, but we're just a one-off project and don't want to go through all that work. So what we want to do instead is we want to do a temporary solution. And there we do have our nice, if we want to cut out things, we can always do our nice color key effect. Normally doesn't work on symbols for the same reason the RGB matrix effect wouldn't work, but since we've turned off the delayed symbol drawing, it should now work as well. So let's add a color key effect simply to the symbols sheet, and this time we will remember to move it up in the list. Color key should always be the first in the list of sheet effects. And now we're gonna switch to color 6 or magenta and solid fill style. And yeah, we're gonna stick on this. Let's switch to symbol definition here because I'm thinking I might define this as a symbol, and then it's correct if it's already in the symbol definition layer. So how do we do this? We could do a multipoly with two circles, and then they firstly form a ring when you combine the two circles. But the thing is, multipolys are always a bit tricky and do take up a lot of processing speed. So it's probably easier to do a wide circle. So we're going to draw a normal circle first, and actually what I'm going to do first, let's interrupt this process. I'm going to move this, or I'm going to replace these symbols and put them on a grid. That way I can place them more properly and more easily draw the circles I need in a center on correct exactly the same center points as the symbols. So let's undo this, place the castle first on the grid. Let's go somewhere where no other symbols are interfering, and the circle in the same space. There we are. And now I'm going to go in, and actually I'm going to already do a line width of, say, 2. Draw a circle. Now I can easily pick the same center and just go there. See, it does mostly work, but obviously it's cuts out the symbol, but it also cuts out the outline, and it is not exactly centered on the outline circle. That's probably because the symbol of that bitmap is not exactly centered on the circle. Okay. So let's turn off sheet effects for the moment, so I can actually see my outline here. And now I'm just gonna edit this manually. See, problem is now I'm grabbing the outline. Right? Now it's convenient that I'm on the symbol definition layer because I can just freeze everything else. So I can just safely just edit my... No, doesn't work. Is that also on the symbol definition layer? Probably, because I've placed it after changing the layer. Let's have a quick look. Info, list. Now I'm only selecting two things. Info, list. And now I've got two. Yeah, and it's both on the symbol definition layer. That was inconvenient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the layer of all these three things, but not the one with color 6. Oh, probably they're all color 6. Yeah, I'm done then too similarly. So once again, change layer, all of them, but not the entity type 2D circle. Okay. Not. And oh no, now I've got the entity tag. Slowly, Ralshemon. Once again, let's have a quick look. What do I have? I'm confusing myself here. I've got one circle entities. I've got a symbol reference and two symbol references. That's correct. So I do need to just select the circle. So change layer, but I do want to change the layer not of the circle, but of the two other entities. So I'm selecting all three. Combine not the entity type 2D circle. Yeah, and obviously it's correct to entities because I have the two symbols selected. It's what I wanted to do. I just was mistaken in how many symbols I needed to select. Press D for do it, and now I'm going to just move them to the structures layer. There we are. Now I can freeze everything and just edit the circle. So I just wanted to put just outside the outline. Do need it a little bit smaller, I guess. And now I also do need to move it just a little bit, so it does fit the outline. Not quite yet, just a little bit more. A little bit to the right, just a little nudge. Just a bit too much. And that's good. That's how I like it. Only the only problem is obviously my circle is not wide enough yet. But it should be centered correctly now. So I do need to change the line width further. Actually, so how much do we need? We've got 5 at least. Let's say line width 6. And now I do need to change the diameter. A little bit further. It's still not quite wide enough. See, if I move it to make it a little bit larger, it will not cover the whole thing. So let's do change line width again and make it 10. That way we should be on the safe side. Not quite wide enough yet. And that does look good. And now let's turn on the sheet effects again. And the color key does neatly cut away all the area around the circle. Bit hard to see at this size. There we go. And now I do have the symbol there. So that's all good. And now I can define that a circle as a symbol and place it just around the other symbols or the other pictures I want to hide or make into these circular pictures. So it's probably best if we just put both the outline and the the cutaway part on the into the same symbol. Otherwise, placing it correctly will be difficult if I don't use the snap grid. So to do that, let's copy these two entities. For that, I do need to thaw everything again, and also I should deactivate sheet effects so I can actually see what I'm doing. So let's make a copy of these two. That's 1, 2. Snap. Also, I gotta grab the center point. And let's place it here. Now this is a symbol, and I want to define the whole thing as a new symbol, and you shouldn't have a symbol definition within another symbol definition, so I first need to explode that. Symbol. Let's have a look. Now it should just be a bitmap reference and not a symbol anymore. Yeah, see a picture 2 entity. That's a bitmap reference to an external bitmap. And now I can define the symbol again. Define symbol, this, and let's make it cutaway frame. Okay, there we are. Let's have a quick look. Symbol manager, there it is. We should set the option that we want to always put it on the symbols sheet. So we can now turn on sheet effects again. And we can now go in and take other symbols. Say I wanted to place a whole city here. And then go into internal symbols. Pick the cutaway frame. I can now even make that larger if I want to. There we go. And we get the neat cutaway of the symbol around the other symbol. And there we are. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able, I'm not quite happy with how the outline vanishes if I zoom in out further, but that's just going to be on the fairly small zoom here. If I'm zooming in, you can see we get to see the outline of the circle properly, and if we export that as a JPEG or PNG symbol, that should be just as visible there. It's probably also an effect of the delayed symbol drawing being turned off. Just if you wanted to show you how this would look without the delayed draw symbols, so I'm gonna type in the command again, delayed draw sim, and turn it so delay draw sim. There we are. Turn it on again, and then all our nice work, our nice sheet effects don't work anymore. But the symbols are visible, more visible here. That's because the partial transparencies don't get cut away like when we turn off the effect again. So delay draw sim 0, and there we are, this again. All right, so we could go on drawing the map here at this point, but what I also wanted to show you how, if you've got a command like this and you want to have it more accessible and more available at the same time, how to create a simpler macro for that. So the command, the name of the command is pretty long and hard to remember, and I just want something to more easily remember that. And how to do that? I'm going to do 2 commands and write macros for those. And so I want something like sim effect on and sim effect off. And do that in here. For that, let me suggest I can put that in the menu. Yes, it's a bit messy doing that here in just for one session. That should normally be done with the macro or macro menu configuration, and it's certainly something we can put in an update at some point. But here I now just want to how to make it simpler, more easy to remember command in the macros. And for that we do have a macros command here, and I can edit macros in here. And that has a little macro editor in here, but I don't want to rely too much on that because it's an internal text editor that can only handle a certain amount of text, and I'm not too trusting of that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go into my program data folder, CS3 Plus, and there's a file, basically the same file that it opened through the macro editor there. That's fcw32.mac, and I'm opening it with TextPad, and there you can see all the little macros we have in here. And I just want to put in a macro sim effect on. End macro is the ending for the little macro, and in between these two we put the command we want to execute, and that would be delay draw sim 0. Then I'm going to make a copy of this, and I'm going to call this sim effect off and make this one. Save this file, and now I'm going to save the map and reload it. There we go. And now I should be able, let's turn on sheet effects, see that we've put the command into the map nodes, the open macros. It already turned it on as I loaded the map. It's just the sheet effects weren't turned on. If I want to have the sheet effects turned on when loading the map, I need to go to display speed and turn it on here. And now I can just sim effect off and sim effect on to toggle between these two. And I could put this in the menu and make it a toggle actually, and do stuff like that with the macros. That's a handy way if you've got a long command that you want a shortcut to, or just rename something. Just put a little macro into the macro file of campaign cartographer and change the name through that, basically. You just have to remember, if you do an update, it will override the macro file, but it will also prompt you to back up that macro file. So you can always grab your own macros and copy them over into your existing installation. And there we are. Yeah, might have, as Quentin says, I now have to remember sim effect on. It's just something that in my mind is more convenient to remember. That's just me. You might just do a very simple 3-letter shortcut or something. That's for everybody. This is a personal change anyway to the interface. It won't reflect anything other people do. So you can put in anything you want to remember. And symbol effects on and off is certainly easier for me than delay draw symbol 0 and 1. All right, one thing to remember while we're getting close to the end of the session, was while thinking what to do here in the video, I was a bit mulling around and it took me a while to come up with a topic. So Sue and I thought we might ask you for further topics of the live mapping sessions. So we're happy for suggestions. You can put them in the forum or on the Facebook group or even in the chat here, though I'll have to save this as the chat will get lost eventually. But you can also comment on the YouTube video and we'll collect ideas for future live mapping sessions. I can't promise that I can fulfill all wishes, but I'm certainly gonna take ideas on board and see what I can do. All right, so there we are, and we could go on. Just one more thing here. If we're going in and going for the vegetation, for example, something's not quite right here. Save this. There, something was in the middle of a command or something. So let's go to our vegetation folder. But for the McShley style. And say I wanted to place some trees here as well. Set to normal again. And just draw a little bit of a frost here. Outline works just as well. Except it's a drawing tool and not everything will be quite as we expected in the, for example, we've got a forest sheet that is not in this drawing style, and that's because the drawing tool needs it. It does create it and puts it at the end of the list, and so we do need to move it up. Show down there should be fine. We can actually add sheet effect here, edge fade inner, as it would have had in the original one. And it also adds a new symbol sheet, because on the McShley style the trees go on their own sheet. So let's move that up just above the symbols of this style. But as you can see, it doesn't apply the sheet effect to these symbols. That's because it's a new sheet. So we would need to go in, grab the RGB matrix process, copy it and paste it into the new symbol sheet. And now we do have that again. And we also got the forest green sticking out there a little bit. So we should probably just grab the matrix process and apply it also to that sheet. And now we do have a nice sepia colored forest, and we can just use the McShley symbols individually, and refresh would show that it is nicely in the same coloring. And we also should, because this was the symbol we did without our specific technique, let's just erase that. Go into our structures again, grab the town symbol, and then go into our internal. There we go. And because the trees are on their own sheet, the frame here, if I turn off the effects, you'll see that the frame actually covers the symbol here, but it doesn't cut it away because the tree symbol is on its own sheet. Turn on sheet effects again. There we are. And this way we can create more of these pick out symbols for the stops on our journey. All right, and at this point, while we do have a few minutes until 7, I hope you'll apologize that I stop at this point. I've covered what I wanted to show you in the style and all the little different things and tweaks and tricks you can do with symbols and drawing properties and macros. So as Bill said there in the chat, a little look under the hood and how to tweak your mapping engine and make it do little things that it doesn't do out of the box. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Next week we should be up with the July annual. I'm looking forward to that. I think Quentin does as well, because he did the vast majority of the work on that annual. It's a new revision of the Waterloo City style, an old favorite, which was in desperate need of updating, especially because the Waterloo random city generator was changed quite a lot since the annual came first out, and Quentin has done great work in expanding it and giving you more drawing tools and options. And I'll be happy to show it off next week. All right, hope you enjoyed the session tonight. Have a good evening, and I'm hoping that it's gonna get a bit cooler soon here. All right, have a good night. If you like the video, do give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to. I remembered saying that. All the YouTubers do that, and it's important for the channel to get likes and subscribers, because it just makes the channel more visible on YouTube in general. So if you can do that, please do, and have a great night, and bye-bye.